like it's really just more important to try to represent our people in a way that is moving enough to capture the imaginations of the people who are listening. I think a lot of the problem is that a lot of people don't really know what's going on here, and that's why I think it's important that we're sending people that are, that are on the front lines, people that are really familiar with what's going on here. And I think that that's really, that's our purpose, is to be able to share stories and share experiences and perspectives that humanize the issue in a way that makes people empathetic to our struggle. So it's really where I'm at. I hope to capture the hearts and minds of the people who are listening, and hopefully something good will come out of it.
How well prepared are you?
Right. That was one of the things that we brought up yesterday when we were testifying, is just that a lot of the discussion around climate change and rising waters, Guam doesn't get to participate in it because we are an extension of the United States.
Right.
So where all of these islands, Tuvalu and the Marshalls and so on, are going out there and basically trying to shame the world's largest polluters into cutting their emissions so they don't, destroy countries in the Pacific. Guam is represented there by Rex Tillerson or John Kerry before that. And so it's kind of like, yeah, we're part of it, we're connected to all of that, but politically, we can't participate in all of those deliberations or discussions, because whoever at the State Department represents the United States, and therefore they represent Guam. And so all of these other islanders are organizing and trying to build alliances, and then Guam, we can't really do that because we don't get to participate at those forums.
And that's the frustrating thing, is that it's really all directly related to our political status, because we don't do any type of negotiation with any other countries at all. We have zero negotiation. The United States does all the negotiating with other countries, and so even economically, we're in a really great place to take advantage of the Asian market, but we don't take advantage of the Asian market. You know what I mean? Because we don't have that political power to be able to negotiate with other countries. And when countries do negotiate with anything dealing with Guam, the negotiations happen through the United States. And so
this is Independent Guåhan's segment Chamorro on the Street. It's Chamorro Gitzalan. And so we have randomly found about 15 or so chamorros in the city of New York. There must be some fiesta going on, perhaps a Lasodzu. We're not sure. But we are honored to be in the presence of Dr. Tiara Rose Naputi, and so who is a professor of communication at one of the highest states in the United States, in Colorado. And so, from a communications standpoint, Dr. Naputi, what is the importance of coming to the United Nations and telling our stories?
Well, I think thank you for that question. I think the main thing that's really important for people to understand is that communication is one of the primary ways to give voice to our issues and our stories. And that's extremely important because we usually don't have very many folks representing our issues, even though they impact so many of us. The United Nations in particular is a forum that does provide some particular kinds of spaces for us to give our testimonies and to petition to some of the administering powers of the world that maintain the 17 non-self-governing territories. So it's also very important for that very reason to give voice, but give voice in this particular kind of forum that has the promise and the possibilities of decolonizing the world's remaining territories.
So we'll just hold it now, and then you can all put your energy. Oh wait, back row, sorry.
Moag.
Hafide, Tauta Guåhan, Guahu Si Victoria, Lola Liangaro, Gaigiham Gi United Nations. Today we are at the United Nations. We're going to all testify before the Special Political and Decolonization Committee. And we're also bringing the flag of Guam to tell the UN that we're ready for it to hang right behind us, where it belongs with all the other nations of the world.
As a child of the Tautau Lati from the sands of Chief Matapang and Chief Hurao, I submit the following recommendations: that the UN sends a mission to Guam and uses its influence to ensure cooperation by the US for genuine decolonization, that the UN condemns the destructive activities proposed by the administering power on the natural, cultural, and archaeological resources throughout the Mariana Islands.
The U.S. Department of Defense is both the nation and the world's worst polluter. There are 95 toxic sites on Guåhan's military bases. This deplorable situation is in blatant violation of Resolution 57/140 that calls to terminate such activities and to eliminate the remaining military bases. However, the administering power has been engaged in massive military buildup and hyper-militarization of our lands. There is no respect for the environment, as the U.S. plans to destroy over 1,000 acres of limestone forest, a distinctive and irreplaceable formation. These military plans will also contaminate our island's largest source of drinking water for their security interests, and again, all without our consent.
We do not begrudge anyone who has come to Guam seeking a new life, but the government of the administering power has recently come to use the diversity of the island as a means of depriving the Chamorro people of their basic human rights. In the past year, federal courts and agencies have begun to try to erase the rights of Chamorros in their own land.
War is a memory over our island. It is acted out when the administering power conducts training and testing, words which mean they are using explosives in our ocean, building firing ranges over the lands where our ancestors raised villages.
In order to colonize the land, one must colonize the minds of the people. The miseducation of our people has worked to marginalize our language, beliefs, history, and practices in spaces of learning to near invisibility.
More of Guam's ancestral lands have been taken from the indigenous Chamorro people to be used for firing ranges, detonation testing, and training.
Sacred lands have been taken, not given, and transformed into unrecognizable premises of development that are alien to our land.
The people of Guam only need the opportunity to close the distance between our past and future to flourish.
United States militarization and occupation has removed Chamorros from spiritually connecting to their history and being forced to relocate to other regions due to economic situations and lack of resources.
Secure land rights for indigenous peoples is a proven climate change solution, and denying indigenous land rights and self-determination is a threat to the world's remaining forests and biodiversity, and a primary cause of poverty.
Because when you are caught in the middle of nuclear threats, it doesn't matter who is bluffing, so prove to us that coming here was not a waste of breath. Better yet, come to Guam and smell the stench of death. Yes, my friends, we are dying. In wars that are not ours, that earn us stripes but no stars, we are dying behind bars and in the backs of cop cars. We are dying of cancer and nuclear radiation. We are dying.
4 generations of our people have come before the United Nations pleading for your intervention. So as you hear the dismal realities of our island home, we ask that you do something different. We ask that you focus on the specific actions that can be taken by the United Nations and this esteemed committee to bring about change and resolution to the question of Guam.
We come seeking peace in our homeland, not as a lofty idea, but as a genuine plea that carries as much urgency today as was necessary when the United Nations was chartered in 1945. This powerful gathering of global unity that you are made a promise to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war and to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights. Please keep your promise to the people of Guåhan.
pre-World War II, we were like almost 90% self-sufficient, and then after World War II, now we're like importing 90% of our food. And so, you know, our people suffer from the highest rates of non-communicable diseases, you know, incarceration, poverty, drug addiction, violence. So,
well, I think your ally is Puerto Rico.
Right.
An alliance between the different islands, at least countries, that have your status. That's is quite different. Mm-hmm. And I think if I'm you, I'm saying, you know, we've got the same sorts of problems, and let's prevent them rather than finish up with them.